And hello out there, listener world. Welcome to Gameface. My name is Richard the Razor Ewing. We do this every week, and I'm not flying by the seat of my pants a solo today, as you probably always work with my wingman, Mike the Shoe Shumann. And as we start today, we got a fantastic show for you. Mike, what do we got?
Well, we got a special guest today, Big Smooth, I call him, Marc Spears, senior NBA writer for ESPN, the Undefeated, and he's a local hero, we'll say. San Jose State's own, went to Foothill College, and of course got his master's at LSU. Kind of covered all the way around. And Marc, thanks for joining us. And I know you are covering the NBA bubble for ESPN. You've been down there a week, and you had to quarantine for a week in your room. First of all, what's that like?
Well, hey, man, you guys caught me in the last 2 hours. So I'm starting to get excited. I get to go out to civilization once again. But a week ago, on Sunday, the 12th of July, I actually flew from LAX across the country, came to Orlando, got off the plane, and there was a guy waiting for me. Grabbed my bags, went in his van. He whisked me here, and they shoved me in a room, and I haven't left since. And so, I mean, the room is nice. I've been telling people it reminds me of like staying at a Ramada. I've been in better, I've been in worse. You know, I got my king bed, so that's important to me. And just, you know, I've been so busy during this week with mostly work stuff that I thought I was going to be more bored. I thought I was going to have more free time, but no, I've been, you know, really, really busy, but you know, I keep looking out the window and I've seen Jokic from the Nuggets walk by once. I've seen some people working out outside, but like there's this, almost looks like a little pond or a little lake in between us and the main hotel, which is the Grand Destino, which is where the top teams, the Lakers, Clippers, Bucks, you know, Raptors and such are staying. And there's like about 20 feet outside this door is a bench, Mike. And I've been waiting to just sit on that bench, man, and just do nothing. So I'm excited about getting my freedom papers in about 2 hours. And it'll also be good to see, like, there's like 20 journalism colleagues here who had to do the same thing. And we've been on Zoom calls and stuff together, but we haven't seen each other. So today's going to be a fun day.
All right, the players had to make a decision whether they wanted to play or opt out. Did you have that option when ESPN came to you and said, hey, we're going to send you to the bubble and you're going to be embedded with all these teams and cover them? Because, you know, this is could be life-threatening, this virus. I mean, did you have that choice, and did you have to think about
that? I never hesitated and wanted to be here. And I actually feel really blessed and fortunate to have the opportunity. There's like less than 20 of us. Maybe even if you just include reporters, less than 15.
Wow.
So to me, this is a unique historical opportunity that I hope never takes place again.
Right.
And it's funny, that everybody keeps saying, man, be careful, be careful. No, y'all be careful. I feel like I'm in the safest place in the country.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah.
I'm getting tested every day.
Wow.
I hadn't been tested since I got here. But since then I've been tested 7 times. I've gotten 6 of the results, all good. You have to wear a mask. You have to social distance. When we get out, there's a thing that we're going to put on our credential, which we have to wear everywhere, where if you're within 6 feet of me for more than 20 seconds, or I'm in 6, or vice versa, it starts squawking at you.
Oh.
And I think it also sends a notation to the NBA of, okay, who have been too close to each other.
Wow.
No, so they're not playing, man. Like, we're getting tested every day. We're getting our temperature taken every day, oxygen taken every day. There's a hospital on staff for anybody if they were to get sick. And then we're going to get this thing called an aura band that like detects if you could be coming up with the coronavirus early.
Right.
Okay, where else in the country or perhaps even the world are I don't know that there's ever been a place where they care this much about Black men. and we can't get pulled over. So like we're in good shape, man. Like this is the best place for Black men in America right now, baby.
Oh man, I bet
Okay.
Hennessy sales are going up.
I'm loving it.
Okay. Now, Marc, this is the thing, because you have brought this out. Now, apparently you're a Foothill Owl.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I want you to know it's nice to be able to speak to a former alum. I actually played at Foothill myself.
Oh yeah. What years?
That would have been, I would imagine it would have been 84 through 85.
Oh, you're an older guy.
Yeah. 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 Right. In other words, now I just
used to
revealed
call
how ancient. I just revealed how ancient I am. Thank you.
Yeah. No, Foothill is actually one of the most beautiful, not only junior colleges but colleges.
Yes,
I graduated from Andrew Hill High School in San Jose, and San Jose City wanted me to go there. The Butte Junior College in Wyoming, but I went out there and I was like, you know, I don't feel like I'm at a junior college. I feel like I'm at a nice schools in the Los Altos Hills. And I remember my dad saying, son, if you do well, man, you know, these houses in the hills, maybe you could own one of them one day.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if he knew the prices were going to get this high.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I still could afford one of those houses. But no, that certainly in terms of my college education, which I ended up getting my AA there, Foothill was certainly a great foundation for me.
Right. Now, let me ask you something, because, you know, Shu and I have been going back and forth about this, and, you know, the whole COVID-19 thing is definitely turned everything around. This is not, everything we're doing right now is, in the word we've been using and hearing, is words like unprecedented and new normal, you know, things of that nature. And so, you know, I personally, you know, like I said, I played sports, you know, for a good portion of my life. You know, I coached boys and girls basketball. I've been around various sports all my life. And as much as I enjoy sports, let me ask you, do you really feel like this is something that we should be involved with right now based on everything that's just going on with the COVID-19 virus?
I think based on the way the NBA is doing it, yes.
Okay.
The way Major League Baseball and the NFL are doing it scares me. The one thing that helps the NBA is just so much less people, but they're being like painstaking and trying to keep the numbers down as much as possible. Like, think about it. Every team can only bring 35 people, period. No more. If you got it, like Harrison Barnes still isn't here. Russell Westbrook still aren't here because they haven't passed the needed test they needed to have, or had their quarantine long enough to get here. So that shows me that it doesn't matter who you are. Like Russell Westbrook is a superstar. He's not getting any special treatment. Like,
right.
When his health is in the right place, he will be here. So I respect that the NBA is not only going to these lengths, but they're not like bending the rules for anybody.
Right.
And so, I mean, is it foolproof? Like, Razor, I don't know if it's foolproof. You know, we'll see. But I just kind of feel like if you're in an environment where everybody is adhering to all the rules, it shows that the cases and the numbers are down. And then I'll you know, shout out to the Disney workers, man. They're all masked up. When, say, I could been able to order a room service for dinner, when they deliver it, they get this little stand and they put it in front of your door. And they go back literally like not 6, like 12.
Wow.
And they're standing from a distance and they're just making sure you got your food.
Wow.
And so I'll grab my bag, close the door, and then they'll come back and grab the little stand. Like, so it's not like they're just handing you the bag. No, they're like 12 feet away giving you the stuff. So there's been, you know, if there has been concern from the players, it's been like, okay, like, what about these Disney employees? They're not trying to come near us at all. They're really, you know, and then we got like flashlight cops like walking around all over the place, kind of like taking notes. They're probably the ones that told on Dwight Howard the other day for not wearing his mask. But no, I mean, it's just people here taking it extremely serious, and perhaps if the whole country was doing this, we'd be in a much safer place.
Well, it's an unusual situation with the NBA because their season was 3/4 of the way over. So
Yeah.
this deal, I think, like you said, to put everybody in the same place. But the NFL, Major League Baseball, that's a whole different animal. They're going to travel, move around. So I think the entire sports world is looking at the NBA to see how this works, you know, so they can, number one, take some of their policies with them. And do you think this is kind of key for the rest of the world of sports, how this turns out?
Well, I don't think, and Shu, you could please correct me if I'm wrong, it doesn't seem like Major League Baseball is looking at this model. Doesn't look like the NFL is looking at this model. And look, MLS, they're here. They're doing the same thing.
Right.
I don't think they're testing as much as the NBA is, but I know the NFL and Major League Baseball probably could afford to do it. Like they have baseball fields here at Disney Wide World of Sports, and probably could have made some different accommodations too for Major League Baseball. I wish they would have come. You know, football, a lot of people, different monster. I was talking to my friend John Hamilton, a former sports agent, who's a big wine guy in Napa now, and we were like floated out the idea, just us talking like, what if they just brought like all the Western NFL teams to the Bay Area, right? Put them up in hotels in San Francisco, and then, or in San Jose or wherever, and then had them practice at San Jose State, at Santa Clara, at Stanford, at Cal, at Laney College, like Foothill. There are just so many football fields that they could have used. Perhaps they wouldn't have the same, you know, weight rooms or weight training rooms, and maybe they could have made them a little better. But I think it would have been better, instead of for them to be playing in their own stadiums, to be playing in an area that makes it easy
and monitor. Yeah.
Like a football field's a football field's a football field. You know what I mean? And you could improve. I remember when I think the Super Bowl was at Levi's. One of the teams was practicing at San Jose State. You know, so I wish they could just at least put everybody in the same area, and perhaps maybe make that hotel just their hotel. Obviously, it's a lot of people, but there's a lot of hotels in the Bay. There's a lot of football fields in the Bay, and you know the weather's going to be good. So I wish they would do that. Maybe it would make the players somewhat more comfortable. But to be flying and going to different cities, and I like the one thing about here, like players, nobody's coming in here. You can't have any visitors, you know, and in order for the players to get family members here, like you got to get to the second round.
Wow.
And then your family members have to do what I just did, what I'm completing, in order to get in. So the one thing that's going to be interesting, and just remember I said this, is before the second round starts, you might have a first round series that goes 6 or 7 games, and family members quarantine in hopes of getting in the bubble to be with their loved one. But what if they get eliminated in a game 6 or game 7? They're gonna be like quarantined and watching these games in their room, nervous. God dang, they just got eliminated. They're gonna be mad and just storm out their room and go to Disney World the next day and fly home. You know, and that could be very possible.
Yeah.
Well, but the NBA, to their credit, even if it's LeBron James' wife and kids, they got to do the same thing.
Yeah, and you know, because we talked about, you know, that very thing last week, you and I. You know, this is a situation where, you know, taking direction is the only thing that matters in this. Okay, we had a situation with the Rashawn, the one player from Sacramento, I can't think of his last name.
Rashawn Holmes
Rashawn
and
Holmes, right.
Bruno Caboclo from the
Right.
Rockets.
Now, he for whatever reason decided that he was going to, basically take out, buck the status quo, go out and get him something to eat, okay? For whatever reason, he made that decision to do that, and now it did cost him
8
some
days
in the room.
He got one more day than us, you know? So that
So, but the thing is we see this happening, and obviously this is not only something he did on his own. He didn't think about the team. He didn't think about the repercussions of what could happen if he caught it, if he transmitted to somebody else. As they get close to that time when, the minutes, become important, do you kind of see this a situation where, the NBA obviously is going to have to get control of this? Do they kind of feel like, what, we've done everything we can, but obviously we can't control everybody? Is that kind of what the whole,
the rules are the rules.
Right.
The rules are the rules. So it's plain and simple. Yeah, the rules are the rules.
That's what will make it work.
I mean, like when Zion comes back, when he comes back,
right?
He's got to, he and Russell, I think, at least have to pass 3 tests once they get here, which is basically at least 3 to 4 days before they could even go be with their team. They don't just show up and walk right in. So, the rules are high. The one thing, and you guys will get a kick out of this, that I'm like, dang, I wish they were here. Like, it would have been cool if the Warriors were here, man. It just seems odd not having Dre. Like, could you imagine Draymond, Steph, and Clay here? Like the quotes, the video. Like, Clay probably would have found a way to surf on the water. You know what I mean? And Steph would have been golfing every day, and Draymond would have been like talking trash before the game started. Like, I'm so used to them being in the finals the last 5 years to just like not even have their personality in this at all. It's odd to me. Just not having them is odd.
Once the games get started, I think you're not going to have all these questions. You're just going to hope guys don't pick it up. And it sounds like it's pretty regimented down there with shots and testing negative all the time. So, but once the games start, do you think this will just kind of take care of itself? And number 2, is there going to be an asterisk beside this NBA champion's name?
Well, first of all, I also think that once the games start, these guys will be tired. More tired. So they're the golfing and the hanging, there'll probably be a little less of that. Probably be more like I am worried, as you guys probably are, about injuries. I'm sure there are going to be some injuries. They said Zion was cramping a lot. I had a bad cramp one night. I don't drink Gatorade or sugar drinks, but I got some Gatorade Zero here that like I take at night just to get, and I got some stuff to IV amplifier, kind of like powders and stuff like that in there. And I mean, shoot, you get that as a former athlete too, both you guys. But to answer your question, I think there's going to be an asterisk, but in a different way.
Yeah.
Like for you to win a championship under these circumstances, you should have an asterisk. You should be, you're going to be a champion that nobody will ever forget.
That's true.
That's the bubble champion. That's a team that had to go to Orlando for 3 months to win a championship.
Wow.
And then they got to have a parade in Main Street in Disney. Like afterwards or something.
Well, that's kind of what, I was thinking too. And it's not going to be the normal asterisk that we're used to seeing. We have the situation, with Barry Bonds hitting over 700 home runs, and there's an asterisk because, they say he did PEDs or whatever. But the thing that I think this asterisk will focus on is the championship that
breakfast is ready.
Well, it sounds like my wife has just gotten up. You're right. But I think this is an asterisk that will probably be a positive more than a negative.
No, this will be something of. It's funny. I'm good friends with W. Kamau Bell, who has a show on CNN that debuts in its 5th season tonight, United Shades of America. And we were talking on an IG Live a couple days ago, and I'm like, you need to do one of your episodes, because he said they're filming the next season starting in September. I'm like, you guys need to come here.
Right.
You need to do an episode on the bubble and the politics because of what's going on in the world that the guys are talking about every day. And by then it'll be around finals time. I'm like, that'll probably be a hell of an episode, like just talking to players who at that point will have been in the bubble about 3 months and hearing what everybody has to say. And I think this is something that, 20 years from now, forever, man, you were in the bubble? What was that like? Like
Right.
the fascination of being in here, like even with you guys, asking me about it, like I'm almost used to it now, but I do understand that this is not normal. This is an odd thing. This is history.
Yeah, definitely. I tell you something, Marc, I know it'll be a lot to ask, but I know Shu would probably agree with me. We would love to get you back on once you're actually in the bubble and actually going through some of the sights and sounds and everything
Yeah.
that's going on, because you're right. This is fascinating talk. And
Yeah.
it's being questioned by, some of the local, radio stations here in the Bay Area, a lot of
Tell them I said I'm 100 times in a healthier place than they are.
yeah,
And they walk out into these Bay Area streets and people don't have masks on and they're not getting tested and don't know what they are. Don't worry about me. Worry about you. Tell them I said that.
Well, I tell you something. Me being, I'm to your point. I'm an essential worker, so I'm out. I'm like you said. I'm out every day, coming and interacting with people. So I know exactly what you're talking about. But I never step out there without gloves on, without a mask. I just don't do it.
Yeah.
All right,
and even in this
go,
environment, like I'm excited to go to the gym once I get out of here. So, I'm gonna put this one on because it'll probably be easier for me to breathe when I work out.
Right.
And I'm gonna put some gloves on because, people touching stuff in the gym. I'm just gonna make sure with the gloves on, I'm not touching anything. So no, I'm still, even with as clean as the environment is, and like they are being painstaking about cleaning stuff up here, I'm still gonna protect myself as if everything is like status quo and outside of here.
All right. Well, with this big racial divide we have going on, there's no more equality going on in that bubble, I would imagine, number one. All right. Before we let you go, who do you like to win it all this year?
The Los Angeles Clippers.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think that the fact that Avery Bradley and Rajon Rondo, or Avery Bradley's not going to be here at all. Rajon Rondo is going to be gone for a significant amount of time, maybe 2 months. I mean, I guess he might be back by the time those two teams could collide. It's a huge loss for the Lakers backcourt, and also could contribute to them having a harder road to the conference finals than they previously expected. Keep in mind, Charles Barkley made an interesting prediction that he thought that if Portland made the playoffs, they could knock the Lakers off in the first round. The Lakers' biggest problem right now is being able to guard, very talented point guards or shooting guards. They have nobody to stop them. Avery Bradley was their best defender. Damian Lillard had 48 on them in a win the last time they played.
Wow.
So that would be an interesting series. But I think Kawhi, who doesn't get enough credit for how great he is, and LeBron kind of cancel each other out in that series. Anthony Davis is the key. He has to have an amazing series, but I don't think that the Lakers have anybody that can stop Paul George.
Yeah.
Paul George is going to have a field day with him. He's healthy. Yeah. His shoulder's good. His legs are good. I just think the Clippers are just pound to pound. Their second team could be starting for a bad team, like be starters. I just think they just have too much firepower. On the Eastern side, I really believe like there's 6 teams that have a shot. Obviously, the Bucks, Boston's healthy. Toronto still has a big chip on his shoulder, and they're really talented. And Pascal Siakam has basically filled Kawhi's shoes. Philly could lose in the first round or make it to the finals. You know what I mean? They're the box of chocolate team, like Houston.
Philly, right?
Yeah, kind of like Houston. Yeah, I think they're the same way. Oladipo being with Indiana, you got to pay attention to him. And nobody's talking about Miami, but they're tough to deal with too, with two leaders in Jimmy Butler and, as you guys know well, Andre Iguodala. So I wouldn't be surprised. I know this is to see Clippers versus, if I had to be a better man, I wouldn't be surprised to see Clippers Toronto in the finals.
I'll be damned.
Wow.
All right, buddy, before we let you go, I know you got a book coming out. I think it's October 6th.
Yeah.
And
Thanks for asking about it.
Yeah, tell us a little about it.
The book's about Spencer Haywood, the Hall of Famer, certainly a character, amazing basketball player, one of the greatest basketball players in Olympic history. Also, played in Seattle, Lakers, jumped around the NBA and, dealt with some drug issues, was somebody who made history from a free agency standpoint. Also was in the cotton fields as a child in Mississippi.
Wow.
And basically migrated to Detroit to not only continue his basketball dreams, but to save his life. So I co-wrote this book with Boston Globe NBA writer Gary Washburn, is a good friend of mine. Spencer is a hoot. And some of the stories, like, man, I want to get him on you guys' show.
Sure.
Yeah.
We'd love to have him.
Spencer is a character and a half. And when you hear these stories, I think it's going to be an easy read because the stories are just so good. It's just like, Shu, I know if you sit down with Shu with a glass of wine or something, he got 1,000 NFL stories to tell you, going back to Candlestick and all that. And I'd love to hear them one day.
I'll tell you something. I've been trying to have that time with him, but because of COVID-19 thing, we can't even get together and have a glass of Cabernet, man. It's terrible.
Yeah. But the world's going to get better. It'll come. And hopefully the three of us can do that too. But Spencer's whole life being married to a mine and just a very interesting 30 for 30 type of story. So the book's already available on Amazon, and I hope people can get it.
What's the title?
What's the title again?
Oh man, you would ask me that.
It's on your. Wait, it's on your.
Let's see, it's called the Spencer Haywood Rule.
Yeah, there you go.
Spencer Haywood Rule. Okay.
Spencer Haywood Rule, and it's so that's on. It's available on Amazon now to pre-order, reasonably priced. And let me know. I'll get you guys a copy in advance, and then you guys hopefully could have Spencer on soon.
Perfect.
It sounds like.
All right, buddy. I know you're an hour away from getting released. So, have fun, man, and I know you're looking forward to getting back out on the hardwood. And I got to mention, Marc had some game himself back in the day.
That's what I hear.
Back in the day, I did.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll leave you guys as this. Like, tell me what you think I should do. When I finished my last class at San Jose State, I walked out the classroom and yelled, "It's over! It's over!" And I remember the teacher in the class was laughing, even though I interrupted their final. I might do the same thing here.
I was just going to say.
I'm going to walk out the door and just say, "It's over! It's over!"
Don't forget your mask.
Yes,
All right,
sir.
Marc. Thank you so much for joining us, buddy. I know you've been all over the place. Every time I turn on a television show, you're on it. So,
All right.
and
My pleasure,
well
guys.
deserved. All right, man. Thanks for your time, buddy.
All right, guys.
All right.
All right. Well, good man. And can you imagine Richard being in that room for a week? He's doing Zooms like this with guys like me and you, but I would just be going crazy.
Can you look? What are you going to do? You're going to do push-ups for a while.
Yeah. He can't even go out and walk.
Yeah. That's just. I tell you something. It was nice having him on. I think that it's also says something to, what this whole thing is really about. It's like when the NBA started this thing, it was still kind of where everybody's looking at everything, thinking, okay, how is this going to work? What direction are we going to be taking? How are the people going to be affected? It's like the whole thing was, mainly just a let's see what happens type project, and I like the fact that he was bringing out, just some of the things he's had to experience, from the days that he's been in that room. I mean, it's some of this stuff is amazing.
Well, what I took from it is it's a lot safer, like he said, than probably any place in the nation right now. Even though they're in the heart of Florida, they're getting tested, you know, and that would be the one complaint is I can't even get tested, you know. It's hard to get an appointment for we regular Joes to get tested, whereas these NBA players get tested every day.
Wow.
You know, so people who hear that are going to go, well, wait a minute, I can't even get a test. So, and talking about privileged athletes, but it's also something where we're bringing sports back, where, you know, this will bring some money back to the economy and that kind of thing. So I just thought it would be interesting as what it'd be like to be contained in there and embedded with the team. So, and had no idea until we just talked to him. He's been in his room for the whole week when I talked to him last week. So he gets out today, but it's the same thing. I think your access to the players are on Zoom interviews. They'll go on Zoom for everybody.
Right.
So not like you're going to get a whole lot of access like you normally do, but at the same time, just to be able to see some people again will be nice. So
it just goes to show how physically we're not made up to be quarantined. We're not made up to not interact with humans.
Not as things, right?
No, we're definitely social butterflies, if you will. And I think that he kind of brought that out in detail. It was really, in my opinion, just a shot of electricity to have him on today. And, you know, I think that the NBA as a whole, it looks like, based on what he told me, and when we compared MLS, when we compare MLB, you compare the NFL, that I think the NBA's probably got their finger on this thing a little tighter than everybody else.
And I think it would have been, they would have had issues had they just been starting their season. But because they were 2/3 through, yeah, it's easier to do this. And yes, it sounds like they're going to pull this off. But as Marc said, and it wasn't a bad idea, have all the West Coast Conference teams come out here and stay in San Francisco, play and practice on certain fields. You know, there's a way to do that instead of traveling, because you're opening yourself up to germs all over the country. So going to be fascinating to watch. Of all the sports sports leagues, I thought the NBA had the best chance to succeed. I still think that the big team sports like football and baseball are going to struggle. And baseball starts Thursday night. I think the Giants are in LA on Thursday. So it's pretty scary. And I don't know. It's just, but we got a little insight as to what's going on in that bubble, which I thought was kind of fast.
Yeah, right. That's definitely the gold, if you will,
right.
You know, today's show. Anyway, my name is Richard the Razor Ewing. You're listening to Gameface. I was on today with my co-host, Mike the Shumann, and we had Marc Spears on from ESPN's The Undefeated. Marc has had a storied career with sports as a whole. He is a Bay Area native, started here locally in San Jose, and it was nice to have him on. He was with us for the first 20 minutes of the show, and he basically gave us really what it's like actually being in the bubble down in Florida. You have been listening to Gameface. Tune in next week. We got another great show for you. Mike, thanks for your help today. And as always, I appreciate this show. I appreciate everything about it. And I'll tell you something, it's always fun. I love it.